It's happening. It's happening. It's happening today. Today is the day. Today is the day. It is time for the Calm Down Dog Boot Camp. It's Monday, September 9th. Later on today, we're doing it live. The Calm Down Dog Boot Camp Day 1 happening live later on today. And if you're like listening to this later on today and you're thinking, oh, shoot, Tracy, I missed it. How did I miss it? Why didn't you tell me? I did tell you. It's the Calm Down Dog Boot Camp happening September 9th and 10th. So today and tomorrow, hang out with me for an hour today, an hour tomorrow. We're going to have so much fun. We're going over so much stuff inside this boot camp, the Calm Down Dog Boot Camp. We're going to be talking about, why it is that your dog training isn't working. If you've been frustrated because you've been doing all the things and not getting the results you want, we're going to talk about why that is, and we're going to talk about the things that we need to do to get those results. We're also going to be talking about, I think, the most important, influential, fundamental thing that you have inside your dog training tool belt, and you don't even know it. We're not using it, and we need to. We're going to be talking about that. And then finally, we're going to be talking about what it really takes to help your dog feel safe, secure, and build confidence without gimmicky little things and techniques and treats and all of that stuff. We're going to be talking about the real thing, what it really takes to help build your dog's confidence naturally. Doesn't that sound great? I'm really excited about it. We've been working really hard on this. So it's the first ever Calm Down Dog Boot Camp. You want to be there in the room. Sign up beyondobedience.ca/bootcamp. That's beyondobedience.ca/bootcamp. And if you can't be there live, we'll send you the replay. You just got to make sure that you sign up so that I can send you that replay. There's going to be lots of fun stuff happening in there. We're in there. We have our own private Facebook group. We're already in the Facebook group. We're introducing ourselves. We're talking about our dogs. We're having some fun stuff. We're doing some fun things. And it's going to be the place where we're going to be answering a lot of the questions that come up during the boot camp. So you want to be a part of that. So be sure to sign up today. And in honor of today's boot camp, in honor of the boot camp, I wanted to talk about the concept of fear. I wanted to help you step inside of the mind of your fearful dog. So imagine, if you got to take your dog training hat off for a second. You're going to set it off to the side, and we're going to just step into the mind of the fearful dog, and we're going to talk about what fear is and the fear cycle. And more importantly, we're going to talk about this idea of why I don't want you to distract your dog from a fearful stimulus. So today's episode's called Stop Distracting Your Fearful Dog, the Key to Building Confidence. Step inside the fearful dog mind with me. We're going to be breaking down the fear cycle today on the podcast. Let's get into it.
Are you worried that your fearful dog may hurt someone or something else? Do you have to prepare just to take a walk around the block? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I too had that dog. The one that you could only walk at nighttime when no one else was around. And I felt ashamed, and oh gosh, I wish that people could just see the dog that I know and love. I wanted the confidence to be able to walk my dog and not have to worry about who or what was around the corner. And I kept telling myself that if I just keep doing obedience drills and distracting with treats, that things would get better. Until I found the secret. Fear is not something that you can train out of a dog. In this podcast, you will find tips to help build your dog's confidence naturally, communication and understanding to foster that trust, and how to address those fear-based behaviors effectively so that you can enjoy a stress-free life with your dog. So if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners, grab your notebook, and let's get to it.
Hello. It is Tracy. Welcome to Beyond Obedience. I'm so glad you're here. It's boot camp day. I can't help it. It's boot camp day. I'm really excited. And I'm going to do this now because I just looked down when I went to turn my mic back on after the music was playing. I realized I missed an opportunity. You see, when I got my new podcast mic, it came with this, cool little board. I don't really understand it. It's technical stuff. I'm doing the best I can. I know a lot about dogs. I don't know a lot about anything else, really. Really anything else. So, but it has these fun little buttons, and I never use them. And I should have. I'm going to do it now. I should have said, it's boot camp day. Or even better, I should have done, it's boot camp day. I mean, come on. What is wrong with me? Why didn't I do that? Well, I did it now. So thank you for thank you for humoring me through that. I should use them more often. All right, it is boot camp day. But you know that already. You're already signed up. Not only are you already signed up, you're already in the Facebook group. And I have to say, it has been so stinking nice to meet people in the Facebook group, because I love talking to you. I love doing these podcasts. I love talking to you. But the reality of it is, if you could see it, I am sitting in a room with my 2 dogs. I'm talking into a microphone and I'm staring at a computer screen. And I'm imagining that you're there. I know that you're there, and it warms my heart that you're there. But it's been so nice to meet people in the Facebook group, especially because they're leaving like pictures of their dogs and we're chatting. It's amazing. So thank you very much for that. I'm really super excited for later today and this boot camp to get going. Paisley and I have done a lot of work on this and the other things that we have done for our amazing owners of fearful dogs, and we're very excited to get out there and to talk about this. So thanks so much. In honor of that, as I mentioned today, I'm going to be talking about the fear cycle, and I really like people to sort of, for a moment, I want you to suspend all of your dog training knowledge, especially if you've been working a lot and you've been doing all the stuff and whatnot. I want you to suspend that for a second. I want you to take off your dog training hat. And we're actually going to take an inside look at the fear cycle from the dog's perspective. Okay, where did I learn this from? Thanks for asking. I learned this from working with horses. Yeah, working with horses. Why? Because horses are prey. And when I had the opportunity to start to work with horses and really start to get to know horses, and I am blessed enough to actually have horses on my property, so I got to watch horses in action. And watching how the prey mind works, I soon realized that dogs in fear act like prey. They 100% act like prey. So this has helped shape my idea of what fear is, and understanding fear at this level has really helped me to help my dogs. And now I want to share that with you. So here's how I do that. We're going to use an analogy, my friends. Step into my world for a second. Step into my world. So I love using this analogy. I think it's one of the better analogies, and I think people can really understand that. So imagine, if you will, that you get home one day from work and you're approaching your house. And as you approach your house, you look up and you see that your front door is open. And your first thought is, that's funny. I never leave the front door open. And immediately in that moment, your brain starts to go a little haywire, doesn't it? It starts to think about all the things like, oh my gosh, someone broke into the house. Someone broke into my house. Someone's in my house right now. Like right now, someone's in my house. And then you start, your heart rate might start to increase, and your respiration might start to increase. You might start to get the hair on the back of your neck starts to stand up, because you're like, someone is my house, right? And now you're like, you might even go, you might be like me and be like, it's probably a murderer. There's a murderer in my house. And then you might even take it for one step further. Maybe it's a gang of murderers. They're in my house. You can your mind will start to race, and everything inside of you is like, oh my gosh, this is happening. There's somebody in my house. Now let's say, for this instant, let's say that you run from your house. You just take off and you run down the street. Even if you got help, let's say you go get help, and you come back to your house and you say, see, my front door is open. Even if you have help, you yourself are still in a fearful state. You're still scared because there still might be somebody in your house, right? But let's say instead of running away from your house, let's say you, I like to call them, let's be the dumb blonde. I can say that because at times in my life I was blonde. Um, but let's say instead of running away from the fearful stimulus, let's say instead you decide that you are going to go check it out. You're going to be the blonde in the horror film. In the horror film where you're yelling at the TV screen going, "Don't go in there," and she just keeps going. And you're like, "Why would you do that?" If you're going to be anything now, you're going to be the blonde in the horror film and you're going to go check it out. So you walk up to your house, and as you're walking up, it's getting more intense, right? You open the door slowly, and in the distance, you hear a noise, and you're like, "What is that?" And as your mind sort of hones in on that noise, you realize it's the PlayStation. The PlayStation is going. And your first thought is, "Oh my gosh, they're playing PlayStation. The murderers are playing PlayStation," right? Then you realize as your son comes around the corner holding a pizza pocket and a Coke, and you're like, "Oh my gosh." And he says, "Yeah, Mom, I got off school early. I decided to come home." And all of a sudden you go, "Oh, it was just my son who came home early from school and he didn't close the door properly." Oh, and all of a sudden you start to relax a little bit and you start to you catch your breath, your heart rate starts to lower, and you go, "Oh man, I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to die." Right? So the next time you come home, the next time you come back to your house after you've checked out the fearful stimulus and found out that it was just your son, the next time you come back to your house, you're actually not going to have the same fearful stimulus. You're not going to come to your house every day going, "Oh my gosh, it's scary. You're not going to do that." And I would even go as far as to say, even if you came home and the door was open again, you're probably going to go, "Oh my gosh, my son left the door open again. I really have to talk to him about about leaving the door open." Right? That's what you're going to do. So what I like to call this cycle that happens, it's called the OMG, I'm going to die moment. And then following that, after you figure out and you go and check it out, you have the I didn't die moment. And that, in essence, is the fear cycle. And quite often, we don't allow our dogs to process all the way through that cycle. We either try to distract them from the fearful stimulus, we try to rush them through or past the fearful stimulus, or we try to get them to ignore the fearful stimulus. But we don't let them to just experience it, get to the other side, so that they can actually categorize that as a win on their part. And believe it or not, allowing your dog to have the fearful experience, get all the way through the cycle, get to the I didn't die moment, and then we life layer all of those moments on top of each other. That's what actually builds up your dog's confidence and allows them to feel better about the world around them. And this fear cycle happens very, very early on, right? Your puppies are born without their senses, so they don't have, eyes, they're hearing, and they have eyes. They don't have their sight and their hearing. But once they do and they start going around, like moving around and exploring and whatnot, they will have fearful stimuluses. Things will startle them. And generally speaking, if you ever watched puppies with a fearful stimulus, a group of puppies all in the same thing, a fearful stimulus, let's say a plastic bag rolls into the puppy pen and the puppies will jump back, right? And they'll be like, "What is that? Is that thing going to kill me? That thing might kill me." And then you'll see them start to do this natural approach and retreat. They'll start to come at it from this side, then they'll jump back a little bit. If it moves, they'll jump back, then they'll come at it from the other side, they'll jump back, they'll approach, they'll retreat, they'll come and check all the different angles till eventually one of the brave little puppies picks up the bag, shakes the living bejesus out of it, and now the fearful cycle is over. They figured it out. That thing didn't kill me. Now they know. And then they, play with it, rip it up, whatever, right? But that's the cycle. And they start this from a very, very young age. It's how they explore and they find out these things. They have to go through the, oh my gosh, I'm going to die moment, and then figure out that they didn't die. So we want to make sure that we are fostering that rather than asking them to, what have I heard? Like feel better about the stimulus, feel better. Change their emotional response. That's what it is. Change their emotional response to the fearful stimulus. I don't necessarily want to change your emotional response for it. I want to acknowledge that you're afraid of it. And we might have to sit there for a moment and let you experience it. We're going to let you like process it naturally and then figure out on your own that thing didn't kill you, right? And get to the, I didn't die moment. Now, are there exceptions to this rule? Absolutely. Sometimes we have dogs that have extreme traumas where they're not even going to start the cycle. They're so traumatized by a past experience that they're just stuck in that fear. Maybe they're too close to the thing where they've lost their mind. They can't even think straight. They're not going to start the cycle. So there are circumstances where we have to manage their environment a little bit. We may have to take them further away from it. But ideally, I don't want to throw food on the ground and have them feel better about it. I want them to actually experience it, and I want them to actually conquer it. So if I have an opportunity to allow a dog to actually have the response, go through the cycle, approach and retreat, approach and retreat, approach and retreat, and then come out the other side with the I didn't die moment, then I'm going to take them home. I'm going to allow them to absorb what they just learned in their comfort zone so that we can life layer that experience. I want to give the dog the win. Look what you did, buddy. You conquered that. That's on you, man. You did that. I want the dog to have the win. I don't want to bribe a dog through fear, right? And those are the two different ways that I sort of see people doing it. We're either trying to bribe them through fear where we're like, we're throwing food at it and we're like going, see, like, look at the fearful thing and now eat this piece of food. Look at the fearful thing, now eat this piece of food. Right? I don't necessarily want to do that. And let me just say too, I will say this. I should say this. I'm talking about as long as the fearful stimulus that they are afraid of is not actually going to kill them. Okay? Let's get that straight. Right? We don't do that to a dog we don't know that may potentially actually want to hurt your dog. That's gonna set you back quite a ways. So I'm talking about the things that we know aren't actually gonna hurt the dog, right? The inanimate objects that are scaring your dog. We can do this approach and retreat thing. We can allow them to experience the fear, get to the I didn't die moment on their own. We can be there as a person to support them through it, not bribe them through it. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. We're gonna be talking a little bit more about that, obviously, in the boot camp. We'll be talking more about that, obviously, in some some future episodes and that sort of thing. But I wanted to make sure that I got that out there today on this day, the first day of the Calm Down Dog Boot Camp. Now, I just realized you might be listening to this long after the Calm Down Dog Boot Camp. And if that's the case, know that it was a hoot. We had a great time. Mountains were moved. People learned so much. There was praise all along and so much applause. And I'm sure we'll do it again. So if you're like backtracking on these episodes and you're like, oh man, that was 3 months ago and I missed it. I'm having way too much fun with that. Sorry, I apologize. Anyway, if you missed it, I'm sure we'll do it again. It was a great time. We all had fun. Look for the next one. It's coming in March. There you go. We'll do it again in March. All right. So there you have it, my friends. That is the fear cycle. I call it the OMG, I'm going to die moment, followed by the I didn't die moment. Allowing your dog to process fear naturally, letting them go out into the world, process this fear, let them go back, absorb what they've learned, and then life layer these moments to allow your dog to build confidence naturally. Obviously, there's always exceptions to the rule, as I mentioned, but let's keep that as a baseline. That should be our goal. Let the dog have the win. Let them experience the fear. That's how nature dictates, right? So, and I'm all about that. I like to do things naturally. All right, that's it for me today. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to let us know. Head on over to Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review and a written review. That would be great. That lets me know that you're enjoying the show. If you're not on Apple, you're doing this on Spotify. Hey, you can comment now on Spotify. Let me know what you think. If you have a topic idea, let me know that too. Share this out with a friend. Share it out with as many dog-loving friends as you can, because the more people that we can get on the podcast, the better. The better. So thank you very much. And as always, get out there today and be the person that your dog thinks that you are, because your dog thinks that you are amazing. And so do I. Have a great week, everybody. See you in the boot camp a little later on today. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye for now. Oh, and one more thing. As always, this podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only and should never replace the help of a hands-on professional. If you are struggling with your dog or believe your dog is a danger, please reach out to a professional in your area. Okay, I think that's it. See you next week.